WALL-E is one of my favourite films of all time. Pixar created an absolute masterpiece in animated storytelling here, from the characters to the story themes all the way to the stunning visuals. This movie captures my heart every single time I watch it. In my most recent rewatch of this film, I really picked up on the interesting ways that Pixar conveys humanity through the various characters in this film, and how that makes way for relationships and connection. I am the Rambling Man. I ramble on about things that I love. Don't forget to like the video, comment and subscribe. We've just hit 2,000 subscribers, which is amazing. I can't thank you enough. But without further ado, let's dive in to WALL-E. Taking place in a post-apocalyptic world where humans have polluted the planet to such an extent that evacuation from the planet was necessary for survival, WALL-E is a film that focuses on the last robot left on Earth, well, named WALL-E. The opening of this film is beautiful and slow as we make our way from the depths of outer space into the cluttered and polluted planet Earth. We barrel through the cloud and the fog to see landscapes full of rubbish and crap. We come to what used to be a city with large, wide shots of the cityscape covered in towers of neatly stacked cubes of rubbish. This is where we first see WALL-E, rolling around doing his duty of taking rubbish and compacting it into these little cubes. We get a sense of scale here, how huge the world is and how small WALL-E is, something that we'll touch upon later. When we meet WALL-E for the first time, we might think that he is an average robot that is just fulfilling his functions, carrying out his programming, but even in the first few minutes of meeting him, we can actually see some incredibly human traits that this little rusty boy inhabits. The biggest hint to this at the start is the music. At first, it's used as a backing track as we look into space, but after we look down into Earth, we see that it's actually coming from WALL-E himself. Listening to music on the job is not something we would traditionally expect a robot to do. After seeing WALL-E get to work crushing rubbish into cubes, we see him pull this weird frisbee bin top. I don't know what it is. It looks like the top of like a trash can. But this frisbee looking thing, and he studies it for a little bit and then he puts it into his main compartment, saving it for later. And then there's this interaction with the cockroach, and apparently this guy's name is Hal according to the online wiki. I never knew that, but hey. So we see him put his hand out and whistle, telling Hal to hop onto his hand, and Hal does so and sort of runs through one of his vents, and we hear WALL-E start to laugh as if he's being tickled. Look, a few minutes in and already this robot, this mechanical being, is showing many signs of personality, of humanity. Like, he likes to listen to music. We see his curiosity in finding things. He has a little pet. He whistles and makes all these noises. And as the film goes on, we will see even more human traits that WALL-E inhabits. Then we get to WALL-E's house, full of trinkets, bits and bobs, things he's found, things that he doesn't understand but finds fascinating. There is a curiosity to his personality. He's essentially a hoarder. He starts singing and he switches on his lights. He puts on Hello Dolly and sings along to it. He even rocks himself to sleep. Everything he is doing seems extremely human. But obviously, playing into one of the other main themes of this film, WALL-E is alone. As I mentioned earlier, we feel that sense of scale as we move through the city, seeing it completely devoid of life. We see other WALL-E units essentially dead, frozen in place. There is no one else here. And we quickly learn that there is one thing that WALL-E wants: relationship. Hearing songs about love, seeing videos of humans dancing together, singing together, being in relationship with each other, holding hands, is the one thing that WALL-E can never have. He is on this planet alone, and he will be forever. Well, obviously, we all know that that changes as soon as Eve arrives. What's so endearing about her arrival is that finally WALL-E finds someone else, someone whom he can be around and share existing with, potentially share a relationship with. but he has absolutely no idea how to do so. He runs around after Eve, making a fool of himself, not knowing what to do. It's obvious from his actions that he is in love, and let's be honest, there's nothing more human than that. A quick side note, once you see it, you'll never unsee it, right? This film has many similarities and inspiration taken from the story of Adam and Eve, and it's actually really evident. Look, in the original story, Adam was created and was alone on the earth, and so God created Eve so that Adam might share in relationship with someone and have company. And we see that with Wally, his loneliness at the beginning of the film, until Eve arrives and the two connect with each other. There are loads more themes taken from that story. I would recommend you looking into it because it's really interesting. But that particular idea is really poignant for what I'm talking about. The idea of Adam and Eve being in a relationship with each other so that they don't get lonely. We see Wally and Eve's relationship start to grow just before Eve finds the plant and goes into stasis. And that's when our story takes us away from Earth and into the depths of space. The whole section on Earth does this amazing job of characterizing Wally as this robot with a vast amount of humanity. Look, he's autonomous, he has feelings, emotions, he is aware of his surroundings and cares for the planet he lives on, and he craves relationship. And so that is why it's even more jarring when we meet the actual human beings. On the Axiom, we see that the human race has degraded to such an extent where there is basically no autonomy present. As if being a reflection of Wally, who was a robot with extremely human traits, these people are humans but with extremely robotic traits. They all wear the same clothes, they sit in the same hover chairs, with no care or desire to take control of any part of their lives. They happily just fulfill the programming, so to speak, being taken around the Axiom as they just sit and eat and drink. They are completely unaware of their surroundings. When Wally causes John to fall off of his chair, there is literally no reaction from anyone around him. They're all completely ignorant to what is going on. We see shots of them all doing the same thing, sipping from their cups in unison. They all react to things in the same way. No one stands out. And they all just change their outfits to blue because they are told to do so. They are incredibly robotic in their nature. We then see something interesting happen. When Wally breaks Mary's chair, her clothes change back to red, and we have this little scene where we see her become aware of her surroundings. She gets snapped out of the robotic trance that B&L have put her in because of Wally. Later on, as Mary watches Wally and Eve dancing through space together, she wants to share in that experience with someone, and so she snaps John out of his trance as he sort of drives by, and we see the same thing. His clothes change and he becomes aware of what's going on around him. And during this lovely scene that they're watching, their hands touch. It's kind of like hands touching is a little theme of connection and love in this film, hey? Later on, we see them playing in the pool. And John says this, right?
I didn't know we had a pool.
How is that possible? There are so many pools. Look how much. That is more pools in one place that I've ever seen in my life. And it shows how disconnected from reality they really were. And the thing that connects these two characters is that they've both had an interaction with Wally. In this film, Wally acts as a catalyst for regaining humanity. Through Wally's personality, curiosity, drive to find Eve, he ends up freeing John and Mary from the clutches of B&L, giving them back their humanity, allowing them to connect with each other. And this theme actually stretches even further. Wally is the one that found the plant on Earth, kept it safe, and by keeping it safe and nurturing it, bringing it back to the Axiom, he ends up bringing all of the humans on board back to Earth, back to their home, being taken out of the clutches of B&L and thus regaining their humanity. Wally is essentially a steward of the Earth, and it's through that stewardship that the Axiom can finally return home. Wally is the one that unlocks humanity for the rest of, well, humanity. And in doing so, he ends up sacrificing himself. Look, in the emotional climax of this film that always gets me to this day, we see this destroyed and barely functioning Wally being rushed to his house by Eve as she searches around to find spare parts to fix him, and she does, replacing basically every one of Wally's broken parts. But after she's done, and Wally comes back online, he isn't the same. It seems like Wally has regressed back into his original robotic state. His music player has been erased. He starts breaking the things that he's collected and hoarded. We see what Wally would have been without his humanity, without his personality. But what is it that brings him back? A kiss. It is that connection to someone else, the relationship with someone else. The thing that Wally has been yearning for his whole life, that's what brings him back from the brink of death. He is no longer alone, and neither are the rest of the humans. The theme of connection and relationship with each other just is such a big part of this film. We see it in Wally's personal journey, we see it in Eva's, Mary, John. We even see the captain learning about human culture for the first time, of dancing together, eating together. Relationship is at the heart of this film, and all of these relationships that we see are unlocked and made possible through the inherent humanity of Wally himself. A little robot searching for love in a wide and lonely world. Guys, thank you for listening. That was a real ramble on about a film that I love, so thank you for sticking with it. If you got to this point, then hi. I can't believe that I'm on 2K subscribers. That's ridiculous. I have plans for many videos. Work's been really busy for me recently, so I haven't been able to do anything for the last few weeks, but hopefully I'll be able to get some more vids out. I got some more Doctor Who stuff coming and other stuff from other things that I love. So I'll stop rambling on. Heyo. And I'll hopefully see you on the next video. Bye guys. Woo!